Ranger Team Echo, this is Ranger Command. Come in. Roger, Echo 1. Just making sure your radio is working. I'll be your dispatcher from here on out. I also wanted to give you a little heads up on your water situation. If you've all got full canteens, you should have enough water to reach the place where Ace died with plenty to spare. But if you're going to go exploring, you'll want to fill up again at any oasis you can find. Remember, your main priority is to recover the repeater units Ace was carrying. Once you've got the devices, you'll be headed to Ag Center and High Pool to install them. But we'll talk about that after you acquire the repeaters. We must, of course, bring Ace's killers to justice. But right now, that's secondary to discovering the location of that signal. Until now, Woodson's been our dispatcher. But Ace's death made me realize I've spent too many years in my office, walled off from the world and how it's changing. I need to know what's going on out there, and I figure the best way to do that is to start listening to the people's problems. So, I've decided that from now on, I'll be the one fielding calls and talking in your ear when you head out into the wastes. Don't let that make you self-conscious or nothing. It is vital that all teams stay in radio contact with me here at the base. We get distress calls from all over our jurisdiction and sometimes beyond. Towns or farms or mines being attacked by raiders, mutant beasts, what have you. We field those calls here and then dispatch whichever team is closest to the problem. 10-4, Echo 1, carry on. Ranger Command out.
Alright, welcome to part 2 of the Let's Chill with Wasteland 2. Now, today we're getting our first taste of the overworld. You're going to see the 2 meters, water and radiation, in the lower corners of the screen. You're going to see that the way that this works is that we move in straight lines in steps. And so each line that we move along takes a certain amount of water. But there's no grid, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to extend the line as long as possible without going over the limit to the next point of water. 3 or 4 points is usually a pretty good step to take, because otherwise you risk running into either radiation or missing stuff. So here we go. Alright, time for our first combat. Now you'll notice that this looks a lot like a cover shooter with lots of melee. You'll also notice that we aren't always spawning directly in combat. There are going to be dudes skulking around that we have to try to get the drop on if we can. The thing about the point before combat starts is that I really kind of would like if the grid was visible so that I could range my people a little bit better. And also the ability to kind of pause and give everybody orders before things started would be kind of nice. As far as I can tell, there's no way to kind of enact or turn on combat movement, so we're just going to have to figure this out. Now right here is where I discovered that the shotgun kinda sucks. It has a very high chance of doing friendly fire if your people are anywhere near the dude with the shotgun, and since there's so much movement in this game, it's actually really hard to ensure that the shotgun isn't going to do friendly fire, because it will hit people before the target and it will hit people after the target. This is not exactly how a shotgun works in real life, but, well, that's how it works in the game. Now we are observing that the damage that we're being dealt is actually quite high, and we're hitting the enemies for not a whole lot of damage, and we're missing a lot too. I wonder how much of that is due to the actual difficulty and how much of that is just due to the game being kind of hard to begin with. We remember that we're on the, difficulty level 3, whereas difficulty level 2 is kind of the normal. We'll see how this goes, but I'm going to continue with this difficulty for the time being. Alright, our first taste of radiation out here in the overworld map. You're going to notice that the radiation meter starts going up in steps of 500 millisieverts, which is actually a lot of radiation to just kind of be casually walking through. But it doesn't seem to do any damage at that level, although if we get to higher levels it does do damage. And that doesn't show up on the map either. The no-grid map makes me worry about accidentally taking damage, so I'll be being a little cautious around these radiation clouds when I'm able to. Oh, just FYI, I'm going to cut out some of the more repetitive menu finagling when it is not particularly useful to you guys. So you'll probably see a short fade around here, and that'll be me cutting out me playing with menus and stuff like that.
Roger that, Echo 1. When you reach the area where Ace's body was found, give it a good going over. The folks that picked him up said it looked like he crawled there. Maybe you can find some tracks leading to where he was attacked. Copy? 10-4, Echo 1, and check in immediately with any new info. Those repeater units are a top priority. Ranger Command out.
Alright, we've left the overworld, and now we're actually at the first kind of local map other than the Ranger Citadel. One thing worth noting is that I left Hound wounded as we walked around to see if he would heal, and we just discovered that he doesn't. One thing I like about this particular map is that the details of the bloodstains to help us track Ace is a really nice touch. It's well done, not too, crazy, but also not too subtle that you end up kind of pixel hunting.
That's Ace's star. How did it end up way the hell over here? I don't get shaken up easy. This place is sending shivers up my spine. God damn it, Ace. Why won't you let me come with you?
If you want to play in our backyard, you gotta pay. 15 scrap, or we'll break your faces. and my dog will eat your corpses. You're insane. What the hell is wrong with you? Just go on through, you sick bastard.
Alright, here we've got some kind of funny dialogue without being too, self-referential or fourth wall breaky. It's nice that we don't have to fight this first group of raiders here, because there's actually quite a few of them, and they would be a pain in the rear end if we actually had to fight them. It's a nice touch that, your first major encounter, you can just skip it with some speechcraft.
I'm working here.
So let me tell you Matthias's law, friends. Matthias's law is vengeance. And soon, Matthias's law will stretch all the way to Arizona and kill those so-called upholders of justice, the Desert Rangers.
Copy, Echo 1. This is Ranger Command. Go ahead. Over. Copy, Echo 1. Appreciate the update.
Yeah, that's definitely Ace's handwriting. I'd recognize those chicken scratches anywhere. He didn't die quiet, at least. He went down fighting. Damn it, Ace.
You spoke?
Look at that hit. It definitely seems like the difficulty is raising damage to us and mitigating damage to the enemies. Note that when we saw the frog walking around a few seconds ago, its damage stat, I think that's what it is, said 15 to 17. And it is here that I remembered that reloading is not automatic in this game. In fact, make sure to reload at every possible non-combat opportunity. You won't suffer as much if you do.
That's Ace's gear, all right. What the hell was this metal asshole planning to do with it? We should poke around the cave. Make sure he didn't drop nothing else. Damn. Look at that thing. Looks like Ace gave as good as he got. I guess that's some consolation. Where the fuck did it come from? Never seen a robot so advanced before. Not even Max was that tricked out. The robot only got one page of Ace's logbook. It don't say much. We should look around the area for more. Could be clues.
Echo 1, go ahead. Got an update for me? What? Well, I'll be goddamned. We haven't seen any synthetics around for almost 15 years. We better get a closer look at the tech. Mirror Captain might be able to tell us where it came from. See if you can grab a piece of it and bring it back to Mirror Captain the next time you're at the Citadel. That is Mirror Captain's fancy word for smart robots. She calls them synthetic life forms, or synths. Basically, any robot that can think for itself falls into the synth category. Plain old robots are dangerous enough. Ones that think for themselves are a nightmare. Good, but our priority is still those repeaters. Now that you have them, I'm sending you on to complete Ace's mission, which was to attach him to the most powerful towers in Arizona, so we can get a fix on that mystery signal. One tower is at High Pool, the other is at the Ag Center. Sending you the coordinates now. High Pool is at the most southern and eastern corner of our jurisdiction. They're a vital part of the stable society we've been trying to build here in Arizona. They provide clean water to us and many other communities and farms, maintain an emergency reservoir in case of drought. See Mayor Vikstrom there about using their tower. He knows you're coming. They built their tower on top of an old crane. A bit unorthodox, but it gets great reception. Ag Center is due south of Ranger Citadel and very important to what we're trying to achieve. The researchers there are developing hardier plants and animals that will thrive in the harsh conditions of the wastes. If it all pays off, we may see the day when nobody in Arizona goes hungry. Talk to Matt Forrestal about hooking up to their radio dish. Used to be one of us. Now he runs things down there. Matt's good people. Used to be part of an old satellite relay system, from what Woodson tells me. Strongest transmitter in Arizona. Roger, Echo 1. Ranger Command out. Copy, Echo 1. This is Ranger Command. Go ahead. Over. Echo 1, I'm happy to say several members of your team have earned field promotions. Congratulations, Echo 1. You've done well.
Okay, I'm going to cut out all the menu finagling that I do here, but what I will tell you is who gains what skills. Stitch has got 3 points, and that gives her enough to get 1 point of computer science. Yarn gets 1 point of blunt weapon with 3 skill points. Stitches and Yarn have higher intelligence, so they get more skill points. They end up having 1 left over after doing stuff here. Specs gets a point in mech repair, and Hound gets a point in lockpick. It seems like you really want to spread out your skills early on, but have everybody, but have very little overlap, because we're getting, what do you call it? We're getting skill checks that don't have skill checks with a lot of 0% to worry about. So we're going to try to mitigate that as much as possible. Now this was something I was worried about. Can skill checks be repeated on failure? It appears that sometimes they can be, but sometimes they can't. You'll see some critical successes in places, and so that only suggests to me that there's going to be critical failures too, which probably means that it destroys the skill check. In any case, we got this one on our second try, so that's good to know. Alright, in this point in particular, I'm not going to cut out the menu finagling, or I'll cut out only parts of it, but I'm going to end up save scumming some skill checks here until I kind of understand how systems work. Can I fail this? Can I succeed at this? What happens? How does it work?
Copy, Echo 1. This is Ranger Command. Go ahead. Over. Copy, Echo 1. Appreciate the update.
Piss off already.
Okay, interacting with this statue gave everybody 1 skill point. That gives us enough skill points that Stitches and Yarn can both learn 1 new skill or gain 1 level in some skill. I ended up giving Stitches Toaster Repair, which is, I think, just kind of a joke-ish, but it's actually useful. You get stuff by fixing toasters for whatever reason. And I gave Yarn a level in Demolitions. That gives us most of our... that gives us somebody in the party level 1 on a lot of skills. So here we learn that for some skill checkpoints you have to do multiple actions in proper order. Here we have to do demolitions first before we do a lockpicking or brute force. Because if you pick the lock or break the door without dismantling the connection to the demolition, to the explosives, then you take damage. So it's not just that you can have a success with the wrong skill, you actually have to think about the process and the order of operations, which is kind of a nice touch.
SOS! SOS! Is anybody out there? This is High Pool. We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack. Raiders with mortars and explosives are blasting our walls. If anybody can hear this, come at once. Don't know how long we can hold it.
Copy, Echo 1. This is Ranger Command. Copy, Echo 1.
Okay, you've probably seen me look around in the last couple of random encounters for packages. The question that I had, which I didn't know the answer to, is do packages spawn in random encounters or not? So far the answer appears to be no, but what I'll do is I'll keep looking around, and if I don't find anything, I'll just skip the footage.
Ranger Citadel, this is Ag Center. Come in. We're under attack. The plants, they're mutating out of control. They're tearing my people apart.
Ag Center, this is Citadel Base. Can you repeat? Did you say the plants were attacking?
Yes, goddammit, the plants. Something's gone wrong with the... the door! They're breaking down the door! Fall back! Fall back!
Ranger Team Echo, this is Ranger Command. Come in. Did you copy those distress calls from High Pool and Ag Center? Over. Roger that. Listen, Echo 1, I have no one else in the area and no further intel at this time. I'm afraid it's going to have to be your decision which call to respond to first. Whichever one you choose, get there ASAP. Both situations are emergencies and both sounded like they were deteriorating rapidly. Copy? Uh-huh. Suspicious, isn't it, Echo 1? Like someone's monitoring our transmissions and trying to stop our little radio experiment before it starts. Keep an eye out for suspect characters. Copy? 10-4, Echo 1. Godspeed. Ranger Command out. Roger, Echo 1. Now listen, I want you to deal with the emergency situation first, before proceeding to the antenna. Repeat, help Mayor Vikstrom with his emergency, then hook up the repeater to the antenna on their crane. Protecting civilians is always a Ranger's #1 priority. Do you copy? Roger, Echo 1. Advise when complete. Ranger Command out.
Alright, here we are in High Pool. This is a long area. I'm actually going to skip the fight here and move forward because even though the first combat, or the first two combats that I got in here went by pretty well, here's what happened right after that. And I didn't do my saves before I triggered the combat, so now we get to see what happens when you get a game over, which is you go back to your last autosave, which is not the start of the sub-map where I got killed, but rather the start of the overall map. So we're going to call it here for this time. We'll show off me redoing the combat in this area, and I'll probably skip that little house until we're more ready for it. So yeah, this has been episode 2 of Wasteland 2. Thanks for chilling with me, and I will see you next time.